Vladimir Putin may secretly be the richest man in the entire world with a hidden fortune rumored to be worth hundreds of billions. Putin actually may have a home that's been rumored to be twice the size of Buckingham Palace, one that's said to be worth somewhere in the ballpark of $230 million. The latest home is said to measure a sizable 123,785 square feet. This is a sprawling estate in a classical style that no doubt features dozens of bedrooms, bathrooms, and living areas, all furnished with stately pieces and artwork that costs hundreds of thousands, if not millions. Enormous walls hide the property from view, and there's more security here than probably in any other house in the world. It is a stately manor reminiscent of the homes of many world leaders. The bold columns and simplistic color scheme are reminiscent of stately buildings like the White House in Washington, D.C., though the White House is only 55,000 square feet. Compared to the over 120,000 square feet this place is rumored to have. That means you could fit 2.5 White Houses in Putin's new pad easy, though there are rumors that even this measurement is nowhere near the actual size. As far as amenities and cool features go, this home is like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory of rich guy extras. It has its own amphitheater, a greenhouse, a home theater, a gym, a garden, and an indoor pool for the notoriously avid swimmer. There's even more. Putin, always looking for another challenge, vowed to become an expert ice skater since he's a diehard hockey fan. His house is said to have its own indoor hockey rink to fit this new hobby. Then there's the debaucherous side to the property. It is said to house a private gentleman's club with a dancing pole and everything. This fits with the many rumors that Vladimir treats himself and guests to, let's just say, companionship when they come to the Kremlin for a visit. If that doesn't hold their interest, Putin is said to have his own private casino right out of a Bond movie. This is for his friends and rivals to bet big against the man himself, though I bet most of them lose on purpose. Vlad definitely seems like a flip the board over if he's losing at Monopoly kind of guy. Can't imagine what he's like when he loses at poker. Of course, once all of this debauchery is over, the property comes with its own classic church. This is also rumored to be heavily guarded, with even the priest sworn to all kinds of secrecy. In truth, a lot of information on this house is filled with mystery and contradiction. That's because security here is next level. Seriously, there's even a no-fly zone over the house. So you can expect multi-million-dollar safe rooms everywhere, secret passages, hidden secret cameras, high-powered microphones, and maybe even one of those revolving bookshelves that leads to Putin's secret lair. You know, he's got a secret lair. The entire project was veiled in secrecy from the get-go. It was owned by a company that was referred to as Property V during construction. Many assume that the V is just a thinly veiled code for Vladimir. This kind of thing isn't actually all that strange for the neighborhood Vlad reportedly moved into. He found himself in what's called the Billionaire's Village, a collection of the most expensive homes right on the edge of Moscow. Many of these homes cost hundreds of millions, and many of their owners are secret as well. This entire neighborhood is highly secured round the clock, so this would be the ideal place for someone like Putin to set up his home base. According to the government, though, this is all a lie against him, what they call an information attack. The residence is officially listed as belonging to the Russian Federation. Experts say there's a good chance this is a cover and that the enormous palace either belongs to Putin or to someone extremely close to him. It's kind of hard to believe that someone not named Vladimir Putin would build a palace like this. Building a stately manor for yourself would likely anger the notoriously vengeful Vladimir Putin. This just has to be Putin's pad. Does it really compete with Buckingham Palace, though? In total, the famous British royal residence is over 828 7,000 square feet. In order to actually make the claim that it is twice the size of Buckingham Palace, the entire thing, including the grounds, would have to be well over 1,000,000 square feet. Honestly, Putin's the exact sort of person that would buy property that expansive just to top the Queen. As far as worth goes, though, there's absolutely no competition. While Putin's place is publicly listed as having a value in the millions, there are some who have reported that the home is worth well over $1 billion. If the home is twice the size of Buckingham, that would be an understandable price. Buckingham Palace, on the other hand, is one of the most well-known properties on Earth, with an estimated value of $4.9 billion. Regardless of size, there's no way a newly constructed residence could ever compete with the history of a place like Buckingham Palace. So the lesson here is that if you want your stately manor to be valued correctly, you should probably tell people that you actually live there. Officially, Putin lives a pretty moderate life with very few personal vices. Unofficially, he is said to have 43 planes, over 7,000 cars, 15 helicopters, and a fleet of fancy boats and yachts. As far as the cars go, while we don't have a look at all 7,000 in what must be the most impressive garage in all of Russia, we do know at least what his public tastes are like. Before Vladimir was a famous world leader, he was a young kid at university who simply needed a car. His mother won a Zaporozhets in a lottery that was likely worth less than $100 at the time. She gave the car to her son, the first he'd ever owned. Putin's tastes got a lot better after that, but he still has a soft spot for Russian cars. For instance, he's been out and about behind the wheels of a Lada Kalina worth around $10,000. He basically did a car commercial for them after his public ride down a new Russian highway. He went on and on about its performance, its gas mileage, and its comfort. He also famously drove President George W. Bush around in his 1956 ivory-colored Valga. He even let the president drive his new beauty, but evidently he had a little bit of trouble with the harsh stick and struggled to change gears, which is probably why Putin asked him to drive it in the first place. As far as workhorse cars go, he tends to go with an Aurus, such as their Sonat, that runs for around $200,000. Of course, his is likely decked out with all kinds of security, including bulletproof glass and probably rockets. You might think I'm kidding about that, but one car in Putin's Aurus fleet could give even one of James Bond's cars a run for his money. His specifically made Aurus Cortège is basically a tank in limo form. It has 7 tons worth of armor, which can withstand an explosion without risking the president's life. The car is decked out with even more, including an oxygen source that can shield the president from chemical attack. He would also be completely safe if the car was totally submerged underwater for several hours. The car also has an AI system that can make a last-second maneuver to escape collision. If that collision appears to be impossible to escape, though, the car will automatically move Putin to a safer position in his seat. In case the car is ever captured, there is even a secret hatch in the boot of the car that will provide an escape. What's crazy is that these are the features we know about. There's likely a whole host of features kept secret. So missiles are a very real possibility here. It apparently cost $1.7 million to make his Putin-mobile, which is actually more than the $1 million it's estimated to build a fully functioning Batmobile. Honestly though, you just know the gas mileage on limo tanks are terrible. That's how they get you. While we don't know exactly how many vessels Putin has in his rumored fleet of yachts and luxury boats, but there is one yacht that's been linked to him the most. That would be the yacht known as the Scheherazade. It is one of the longest yachts on the water right now, with a length of over 460 feet. It features 2 helicopter pads, a gym, a cryotherapy chamber, a player piano, a hydro massage room, a sauna, a Turkish bath, and a grand dining room. This absolute masterpiece is said to be worth a fortune of around $700 million. Even for someone like Putin, that is true decadence. Officially, Vladimir Putin is worth somewhere in the neighborhood of $40 to $70 billion. But judging from his lifestyle, I'd say it's safe to assume that even this sizable fortune wouldn't quite cut it. His salary is supposedly modest, with only $187,000 per year. By comparison, President Joe Biden makes $400,000 a year, and Prime Minister Boris Johnson makes $194,000 a year. So both of them have more bank than Putin. Well, maybe not. According to some experts, they believe that Putin's fortune is actually in the Scrooge McDuck levels. That secret net worth is said to be upwards of $280 billion. So Elon Musk, who famously flaunts his richest man in the world status, has a net worth of around $230 billion. That's a much more sizable fortune than even the $103 billion of Bill Gates or the $139 billion of Jeff Bezos. Sadly, he doesn't quite match Putin's $280 billion. So yes, there's a good chance that Putin reigns as the richest man on planet Earth. Of course, other historical leaders like Alexander the Great and his estimated wealth of $32 trillion, or Genghis Khan's $132 trillion, both utterly destroy Putin's sad little fortune by comparison. No matter how much he wants to, he will never match the most ruthless leaders who have ever walked the planet Earth. Back in 2015, there was a completely average apartment block that was guarded around the clock by police. That is because it was said to hold one of the greatest art collections ever seen, one that would end up going to the president himself, Vladimir Putin. The art collection has several of the biggest painters, such as Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, Rembrandt, and many, many more. In fact, there are over 1,000 paintings in total, all supposedly in pristine condition. The collection itself is said to be worth somewhere in the neighborhood of $2 billion. The entire collection was once owned by elderly heiress Nina Moleva. She claims that during the Russian Revolution, her grandfather was able to hide this enormous collection in the attic before they were ousted. Then, when she returned in the 1960s, the family was pleased to see that the collection had actually survived the chaos of both the revolution and the subsequent world wars. That story is impressive and everything, but there is actually a lot of doubt whether the art is indeed worth that much. The collection has become something of a myth in the art world. Once legitimate reports about it came out, many critics stated that there was no way that collection was real. Historically, the family wouldn't have had the amount of wealth to purchase such an unrivaled collection. She originally offered the entire collection to the renowned Pushkin Museum. They actually declined without much doubt. Their experts were quite sure that many of the claims about the collection were categorically false. After that fell through, she just decided to leave it to the state. Her lawyers said she had to name an individual person, and she just decided Vladimir Putin was the closest thing to leaving it to the state anyway. Regardless of its authenticity, it will still all be Putin's. I bet if you ask him if his collection was real, he'd tell you yes without even a second's hesitation. Of course, Switzerland's Fine Art Expert Institute stated in 2014 that over half of all art that's been circulating both publicly and privately are extremely well done fakes. So Putin's phony collection may very well be as authentic as some of the greatest museums in the entire world. Putin is also said to have one of the most impressive watch collections of any world leader to date. It's said to be worth over $700,000, which certainly supports the idea that this man isn't living off a modest government salary. His watches can go on the low side for something like $10,000. That's if he's being thrifty. Putin's crown jewel is a German turbograph, which is worth over $500,000 just by itself. That alone is worth more than most of his watches combined. He's also quite generous with his watches as well. On several different occasions, he has actually gifted citizens incredibly expensive watches, seemingly on an impulse. Seriously, the man just handed a kid a block pen, which is worth around $10,500. It probably didn't even fit. You just know that kid tells that story to anyone who will listen. While Putin has been married for most of his political career, it's been rumored that he's stashed away secret girlfriends all over the world for just as long. Girlfriends that he's said to support and pull strings to get them all sorts of perks. That includes former Olympic gold medalist Alina Kabeva, who is said to be worth over $13 million, largely thanks to Putin. Then there's Svetlana Krivonikic, who is said to be worth over $100 million. The rumors are that there are secret love nests all around the world that are collectively worth millions of dollars. For instance, Luisa Rozova, who is the rumored child of Putin and Svetlana, actually lives in a swanky penthouse that is said to be provided by her illustrious father. This 3-story property is in the most famous area of St. Petersburg, an area that would be hard for a 19-year-old girl to afford. I mean, the rent there is $10,000 a month. Though something tells me her dad could probably get her a better deal. This property is an opulent, gaudy car crash of an apartment with so many pieces of wild, expensive furniture just clashing into one another. It has a pool, a wet bar, a home theater, and a sun lounge. It is 4,800 square feet of unabashed decadence. Yet, there's nothing suspicious about a 19-year-old owning this at all. One quirky little fact you probably don't know about Vladimir Putin is that he prefers to use lavatories made exclusively of gold. These aren't mere golden-colored pieces of ceramic, mind you. I'm talking about solid gold. Each of these are said to be worth nearly $60,000 a piece. I mean, they are rumored to be in all of his houses, his offices, his airplanes, and anywhere else he goes. There's probably travel ones that get taken abroad and that replace the ones used in his hotels or guest areas. I'm talking about a multi-million-dollar golden collection here. This isn't actually all that surprising for Putin. The man absolutely loves gold. For years, Russia has been buying as much gold as it could. Putin apparently has a gold hoard that is said to be worth well over $130 billion. This is more than even Smaug from The Hobbit's infamous gold hoard, which is estimated to be worth well over $54 billion. The man literally has amassed more gold than a fictional fire-breathing dragon. Every billionaire has their strange habits, I guess. Honestly, I think the best way of settling things is by having Putin and Musk do the honorable thing and race jets. It truly is the only way.